Hey guys, nice to see you again. You're here again with Mr. B, Mr. B, Mr. B. What are we doing today, Mr. B? All right, so today we're going to learn how to factor simple expressions. So the way to think of it is doing the opposite of the distributive property. So when you do the distributive property, which I just did a video on just before this one, you distribute. Well, factoring is you're gonna go the other way. Okay, so I'll show you what that means. Okay, so let's look at this first example. 30b plus 45. Let's factor it. Okay, 30b plus 45. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna break these two numbers. 30, my two numbers are 30 and 45. We're gonna break them into factors and try to find a factor, the biggest factor they have in common. I don't know if you're gonna remember this, but we call it the greatest common factor, GCF. So what are the numbers that are factors of 30 and 45, and which one is the largest one? So if you can list the factors of 30, one is always a factor, right? And we got 2, 15 times 2 is 30. We got 3, 3 times 10 is 30, right? We got 4, no, 5, yes, 5 times 6 is 30. And that's it. Those are all the factors. So what are the factors for 30? We got 2, 15, 3, 10, 5, and 6, all right? We do the same thing for 45. What are the factors of 45? Okay, well, 1 is a factor, 2, no, 3, yes, 3 times, what is it? 3 times 15 gives you 45. 4, no, 5, yes, 5 times 9 give you 45. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's it. Those are the factors. So now you're gonna look here and see which is the largest factor they have in common. And the biggest one they have in common is the 5, okay? So that's the GCF. So the GCF of 30 and 45, the greatest common factor they have is 5. So you gotta come here and break that number 30 into 5 times something. Okay, so how do we get 30? We do 5 times 6 is 30. And then use the 5 to break this one. 45, you can write it as 5 times 9 is 45. And we have a B here. That stays, okay? So let me erase all of this stuff. So we have a nice space to work. So what did we do? We broke that 30 into factors. So the 30, we broke it to 5 times 6. All right, so 30, we wrote it as 5 times 6. And the 45, we wrote it as not 5 times 9. What did we use 5? Because that's the greatest common factor that they have, okay? So we can factor the 5 out from each one. We could take the 5 out from this and the 5 out from that. We put it outside, you put a parenthesis, and on the first term, what's left? 6b. And the next one, what's left? We got a 9. So you can write it as 5 outside the parenthesis. That's why you factor out 6b plus 9. So the opposite of doing the distributive property is factoring. You take something out and put it outside the parenthesis. Now, once you're here, now you can distribute, and you're gonna go back to right where we started, okay? So let me erase all of it, and I'll do it a little bit faster. So 30b can be written as 5 times 6b, and 45 can be written as 5 times 9. And I'm gonna factor the 5. That's what they have in common. Okay. And then the 5 goes outside. And inside the parenthesis, what do I have left? Well, the first piece, I have 6b left. And in this, I have 9 left. Okay. So that's how we factor. Now, the next one, we do the same thing. We need to find a factor that 28 and 14 have in common, the biggest one. Okay, and I think that's 7 because negative 28, you can write it as a negative 7 times 4. And 14, you can write it as 7 times 2. And here there is a P and addition. So I just broke this 28 is a 7, negative 7 times 4. The reason I have a negative times a positive, because a negative times a positive is a negative, okay? Since I have a negative 28, one of them has to be negative, okay? You know what? I think I should make the 4 negative because here is a positive 7. So let's do that. I'm gonna make the 4 negative because I'm gonna factor out a positive 7. So here we go. So I'm gonna make this as positive 7 times negative 4. I'm making the 4 negative. So 7 positive, 4 negative, they're gonna give me a negative 28. So, and I have a P here. So I'm gonna factor out positive 7 from each one. So from 7 goes outside, positive 7. What's left on the first one? Minus 4P plus what's left on the second one? 2. So when you factor it, it becomes 7 on the outside, negative 4P inside, plus 2. And to make sure you didn't make any mistakes, if you were to distribute, you should get back the expression you started with. So what's 7 times negative 4? That's negative 28P. What's 7 times 2? That's positive 14. Okay? All right, so that's how we factor. So here, the same thing, you're going to break these numbers into multiplication of factors, and you try to find something they have in common, okay? Which is the GCF, greatest common factor, in this case of negative 40 and 25, okay? So do that to practice, and I'll see you until next video. So that was factoring expressions, okay? All right,